I figured the Cardinals would come in late with the move, but I wanted to just sort of take both of these things in. Jose Quintana last night and then Jordan Montgomery today, right at the deadline. Two left-handed starters with high ground ball rates seem to be having good seasons. But what is your take on that? Do you think these guys will help the Cardinals? And if so, what should the expectations be?
Yeah, I think we've talked before about how I thought the Cardinals would benefit from some rotation upgrades. And while Quintana and Montgomery might not be top of the rotation guys, they're certainly quality major leaguers. Ground ball rates you mentioned, and that they're going to help. And I like they might not be the blockbuster moves, but they're the quiet kind of moves that can add it, benefit them in the standings game down the stretch, and be potential postseason assets. So, yeah, I like the moves. Maybe not as they didn't go San Diego Padres on us, but they could be quietly effective transactions for sure.
Yeah, and I have to say, Travis, I mean, I try to be one of these really prepared people when I discuss baseball players and the analysis, and try to have a handle on the strengths and the weaknesses and all that. I have to tell you, last night I was really surprised to see that Jose Quintana's got a 2.1 Fangraphs WAR, which is actually higher than Miles Michaelis and Adam Wainwright, and and Frankie Montas for that matter. So, what is it about him, do you think, that has enabled him to get his career back on track in such a positive way after a brutal 2021?
Yeah, I mean, he was, for a long time, he was a quality rotation option, and the Cubs paid a big price to acquire him at one point, and then his career was derailed for a bit. But, I think that move to the bullpen last year, I mean, I haven't personally spoken to him about it, but it seemed like he got some swing and miss back in his game. I believe he made some modest pitch usage changes, and he just kind of got his career back to what it was, and, quality mid-rotation option. And, he was pitching much more like the guy he was for the great run he had in with the White Sox, and he looks more like that guy. So I thought it was, even at the time, we did a piece early in the spring just looking at positive kind of regression candidates, guys who, if they just trimmed walk rates, made a slight strikeout boost. Quintana was on the list, so I do like that move for the Cardinals, and I think it was relatively low cost. A nice addition for sure.
Can you tell us, Travis Sawchik from thescore.com, can you tell us anything about Chris Stratton, the reliever that they picked up in that deal from Pittsburgh? I mean, I can see the numbers, but I get a feeling I'm missing something. Is he? Does he have good stuff? Do you like him?
Yeah, I think he's. He was in the closer mix, I think, for a while in Pittsburgh, and I don't know. He's a guy you want in the end of late game situations, but he's certainly another quality arm to put in to be a bridge to get you to your best end game pieces. So I don't know that he'll be a huge impact guy, but everyone is these deadline prices get inflated, I think, and I think every contender is looking for arm upgrades, and so I'm sure it was tough to pull off some of the higher preferences guys, but he might be a guy who can help. I'm not sure he's a guy who's going to swing a race in your favor, but it doesn't hurt to have depth for sure.
Travis Sawchik with us, and we will move on to the Padres, and that's just you talk about being aggressive. I also need to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers and the Hader decision, and also what they've done after that. But one more Cardinals question, and it's really more about the Yankees. Jim Hewer and I were a little confused. That it was interesting that they wanted Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery, because Montgomery's made 21 starts. He's a viable guy. He's consistent. You can count on him. Bader's plantar fasciitis is kind of a serious case. I mean, He's been sidelined for over a month now, and he's had a couple of setbacks. I'm scratching my head on this one. Why do you think they coveted Bader so much?
Yeah, I don't really understand what the Yankees are doing on the deadline day, to be quite honest. And yeah, they already have a crowded outfield with Benintendi kind of removed. I think Matt Carpenter, great comeback story this year, and his swing adjustment seems to be very real. Benintendi's kind of pushed him into a utility role. Now I don't know what their plan is for Bader. And Montgomery, everyone's looking for pitching depth, and they kind of eroded for another outfield option who you mentioned is dealing with a somewhat serious injury. So I don't understand that. I like that a lot more from the Cardinals side. And I'm not just saying that because I'm appearing on St. Louis radio. But, yeah, I'm with you. I don't really understand. I'd like to hear what Brian Cashman's thought and reasoning on that. So, yeah, I'm not sure. That one left me a little scratching my head a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's keep it in the Central. And number one, were you surprised by the decision to trade Josh Hader? Number two, the second part of that is like, do you think they got a good return from the Padres? And third, what do you think about some subsequent moves that the Brewers made with their bullpen, including another one today, getting Trevor Rosenthal from the Giants and Matt Bush last night? I mean, just give me all things Brewers with that bullpen.
Yeah, it's we've heard Josh Hader trade rumors for years now, and it seemed like the Brewers were trying to get some optimized return there. And while they're not a super small market, they can be in the lower end there, and I think they have to be. The front office is cognizant of ownership, payroll limitations, and I think Hader was in line probably to make like $15 million next year, and I'm sure that was a big motivation for that. So it's one of those opportunities where they're looking to get a return, and then at the same time still be opportunistic with bullpen additions. And Rogers is a quality arm. Matt Bush, he was Rangers' a back-end arm, and Rosenthal. So they traded. You could argue their bullpen is not as you can't replace Josh Hader. I mean, even though his ERA is a little elevated this year, the swing and miss was still there, and that ghost fastball has been one of baseball's great pitches, and it's going to be hard to replace, and they will miss him in high leverage spots. But you can argue their bullpen is deeper now, and they added years of control, and they have more the dreaded term payroll flexibility in small markets. But it's a real thing for those front offices, and they have more of it going forward. So you can see the rationale there. It's one of those crazy 2022 baseball trades that people have to wrap their minds around. But you can see how they're trying to play both sides of the market and also plan, have a lot of front offices, they're not going to go all in on one postseason chance. They look at this as extending the window of opportunity and having more rolls of the dice, and I think that's what the Brewers are doing. But it could help. I'm sure the Cardinals don't mind not seeing Josh Hader in division now, so it could have a benefit short term for sure.
Yeah, the Cardinals are no more Castillo to deal with or Molly.
That's right.
No Hader, and I'm sure I'm missing some others off the top of my head. No David
I don't know
Robertson.
How many more games do the Cardinals have left with the Reds? Because that could be
it's 8.
It's 8. Be significant.
Yeah, 8. And they play. They have 7 against the Brewers, 5 of which are in St. Louis, David Robertson was traded by the Cubs, really good year, as you know, and they play the Cubs a lot, starting with a 3-game series tonight. And I know I'm missing some others, but yeah, this NL Central's even weaker, at least in the moment. So I don't know what that means for the race, but yeah, if you're going to trade Hader, I mean, they actually picked up 4 relievers to cover, and are also given that deeper bullpen. They're giving Craig Counsell more options, and he's really strong at running a bullpen. So, yeah, I could see this really paying off for them.
I don't. I can definitely see the rationale for it. And the Brewers have a super smart front office, and there's. I think we can understand the reasoning behind it. But you do wonder if, say, they are in a postseason situation and they have some late inning blow up, and Josh Hader's no longer there. Could that be a second guess decision? Sure, but they added flexibility, and they added years of club control and a bullpen and reduced costs. So it's certainly it was a rational decision. But the Padres, I mean, wow.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's a historic deadline.
Unbelievable. I mean, trading all these first round draft picks, a couple of second round draft picks, and the payroll skyrocketing. I mean, just take it away. I mean, is there any way to judge this trade in terms of who got the best value? I mean, obviously Soto's as people like to say, he's a unicorn. You already know what his value is, but did the Nationals get enough for him and Bell?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the amount of players 25 and younger who have done anything like what Soto's done is very short. I mean, you're talking about the comps that come up when you look at on base percentage, even adjusting for era. It's Ted Williams, it's Babe Ruth, it's Joe Jackson. It's these all-time greats. And to trade one of these players, it's just hard to believe you're going to get value back. And then you look at the package, and there's not a top 10 consensus prospect in there. I guess C.J. Abrams might be close, but you just wonder if you can't miss when you're trading generational talent like this with years of control, 2.5 years of control. And I think the 2007 Miguel Cabrera trade is probably the closest modern comp, and the Marlins did get 2 Baseball America top 10 prospects back at the time, and Andrew Miller and Cameron Maybin, and didn't work out, but you could argue that prospect haul was a little better. And over the last year, the Nationals have traded Trey Turner, Max Scherzer, now Soto, and I was just looking at the updated Fangraphs has already updated their farm system rankings. They put a dollar value in every prospect, and the Nationals are up to 8, but you'd like to see that move higher with the state of the major league roster. And I don't know. They have a really long way to go. And while I'm sure, I know the ownership, they're reportedly putting the team up for sale, and whoever buys them, it's not going to be a Marlins like payroll situation, but you think about the star talent the Marlins have traded over the last decade, and since the Cabrera trade, they've made 1 playoff appearance. They have a .452 winning percentage in the regular season. It's just tough to trade a player like that and expect to get any time and to get any better in the next decade. So, I didn't love the return, and I just wonder if they could have been more patient or even waited to the offseason to get truly overwhelmed with some sort of historic bring back package. If you're going to trade a historic 22-year-old talent, you want the return to be pretty remarkable, and I just don't think that happened.
Very interesting, and I don't know that anything happened today that would shape or reshape the NL Central as far as like who's going to win the division. Before we say goodbye to you and thank you, do you have any opinion on that? Did anything change in this race during this trade deadline, Cardinals versus Brewers?
I don't have the list in front of me of games remaining against the Reds. That would intrigue me. The one thing that happened is the division of opponents got easier to play outside of those 2 clubs. But yeah, I don't think it was there's no seismic movement between Cardinals and Brewers. I think I'd give the Cardinals a slight standing edge gain there with Quintana, and Montgomery I do like. I mean, he's going to get ground balls. He doesn't walk guys. He has decent velocity from the left side. So Yeah, maybe a slight edge to the Cardinals, but yeah, nothing seismic.
Travis, I didn't mean to lie to you because I just thought of one more question. I promise that's it.
I apologize for the background. I'm out. Tried to find a quiet place, but I don't think there's a quiet place here in Cleveland.
No, it's great. Thank you. I appreciate you speaking to us from the ballpark, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And phone problems or connection problems. We were at the end of the interview anyway, but thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. Great to be with you.
Yes, that's Travis Sawchik from thescore.com. Looking at MLB trade rumors, Tim Dirks writing about this trade that sends Jordan Montgomery, left-handed starter, to St. Louis for Harrison Bader. It also does include a player to be named later from the St. Louis side or cash considerations. And it's conditional on Bader's playing time as it pertains to the plantar fasciitis that sidelines him in present. But I really look forward to, because when even Travis Sawchik, who's one of the smartest guys out there with baseball, even when he's confused by what the Yankees are doing here, now at least I don't feel stupid.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So I really look forward to reading about this. And we should take a timeout because we're getting late in the show. Go ahead, my friend.
We're good for a timeout, but we do have Mo Zaylock from the ballpark here with the media from earlier.
Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, we can go right to it here. So
all right, that's cool. Go ahead.
You guys ready? Ready. Okay. So obviously, trading deadline has come and gone, and I just thought, to start, just a little reflection on what we were trying to accomplish. First off, we went into this trying to be eyes wide open, understanding that there was lots of things that could possibly happen. Many of you write about it or talk about it. And then there was, the strategy of really trying to understand if we could get innings, specifically starting pitching. We felt like that would be the best possible outcome for us. We explored a lot of different things, and there's no reason for me to sort of touch on every single one of those things. I don't think people want to hear what we were potentially close to or what we explored, but it was a really busy few days for us. But ultimately, we do feel good about the pitching we did acquire, and to also touch on, we were looking and exploring different things on the catching front as well that never materialized, and ultimately we ended up where we did. But look, where we were from middle of last week to where we are today, we feel pretty good about it. But when you acquire something, it costs you something, and it was it's tough when you have to give up somebody like Harrison Bader. But we felt like with the emergence of what you're seeing out of Dylan Carlson and really just trying to find more at bats for players, we felt like that was a position of strength for us to try to fill a position that was weak for us on the pitching front. And so, I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree with the strategy, but I hope people understand that we felt like we were filling something that would be in our best interest. And so hopefully we accomplished that. Obviously, there's still some things we're going to have to reshuffle with our roster, but we're going to let today come and go, and then we'll sort of reassess.
You said that people don't want to hear about how close. There is one that a lot of fans want to know how close you were. Where did you get with? So
it's not for me to determine how close, right? Is it something that we looked into? Yes. Is it something that we obviously didn't get done? Yes.
How far did that push you past your comfort? Given,
to me, that's a tough question because whatever I answer is just going to probably get me beat up anyway. We went in with certain goals and we felt like we achieved them.
In a best-case scenario with Quintana and Montgomery, how do they slot in and what do you get out of them?
Well, as you know, we really just felt like we were getting inconsistency out of our rotation. But, in both guys' cases, we feel like, they're going to be like solid contributors to our rotation. And, you look at how they've been performing and what they've been able to do, it's exactly what we needed. And the one thing about Montgomery, bear in mind, is it's not just for the next 2 months. we do have him for next year as well. So that was important part of the acquisition.
John, what do you like most about Montgomery? What with his stuff, his makeup? What do you know about him?
First off, I know he's a really good guy, and from that standpoint, I think he'll fit in great in our clubhouse. I think, speaking with him, I would imagine, he was a bit stunned about, finding out he was being traded, just as Harrison was. I think that, for us, it's about a guy that can move the ball, spin the ball, get ground balls. We just feel like both Quintana and him fit perfectly for what we're trying to accomplish.
Does this trade show what you believe in Dylan Carlson as your future center fielder for years to come?
A lot's been sort of made out of Dylan over the last couple of days, and I actually met with him when we were in Washington, and I told him, it's very unlikely you're going to get traded. We're not trying to move you. We have a lot of faith in you. We believe in you, and we want you to be a part of the Cardinals.
That's John Mozeliak from Busch Stadium a little while ago. Yeah, that's the other part. I forgot to mention. They actually, if they want, they have Jordan Montgomery under contract control for 2 more years after this one. He makes $6 million this year, but that was a good thing to point out. And yeah, this does make Dylan Carlson the center fielder. Now, I know Lars Nootbaar can play center, but Dylan Carlson's looked great in center. So he takes on an added role and added value because he's pretty much it right now. Although there's other ways they could go if he would get injured or something, they needed to go, plug it in or whatever. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I have, because I like Harrison Bader and actually have defended him a lot. But the injuries, just constant injuries, this year just way too many days missed. Last year, way too many days missed. He gives a great effort. He runs he goes diving. He runs into walls, but he just doesn't get to the post enough. And his offense kind of took a step back here, although not terrible, but he had been above average. But he's also moving into bigger money. I think he's got a 2-year contract. I think he'll be paid over $4 million next season. So they have outfielders on the way, not necessarily center fielders, but they have outfielders on the way. And I think it made sense to move him, especially for a pitcher that you can control for a couple of years and a guy that's, I think, got a good makeup and a good pitching profile, talking about Jordan Montgomery. Quintana will just be here to the end of the year. And if he continues to pitch as he has been, he's a nice addition. So we'll see how it goes. But Jim, real quick, and I know we got to go.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it seems that John Mozeliak's just so he's not defensive because he's being pleasant, he's being polite, but you can tell that all this has been getting to him. People hammering the Cardinals for not doing enough or whatever he says, his words are used against him. And in some cases, people will twist it to fulfill an agenda. So I know what he's talking about. But he's a little gun shy or something. It's really interesting. Really interesting. He needs a friend.
He does. I tell you, it seems like he's more aware and more conscious of what people are saying, as opposed to, hey, I'm just going and doing this and we'll be fine. He's taking a little bit more to heart, like you said, as opposed to in the past. Yeah.
And so I don't know, all the people that are kind of draw a line in the sand and would do the fake tough guy thing and all that. I mean, I think the Cardinals did fine. Would I have preferred more of an impact starter in terms of like a starter that's a bigger name, a bigger splash, maybe more dynamic? Well, yeah, but also you got to tell me what they would have had to give up for that. They didn't get one, so they must have been asked to give up a lot. But he's not whining about it. He's just they went and got something done. I said all along that I thought a possibility would be 2 starting pitchers who weren't the biggest names, but that would fit in well, and that's exactly what they did. So it's been an interesting it's really been a few weeks, but all leading to trade deadline day. So their rotation is stronger. Is it going to be enough to win the NL Central? Well, it certainly will enhance their chances. How much, I do not know, because now they're having some issues with their offense, and some guys really need to step up. If they can get that offense humming again, I would like their chances.